Bring yourself to a nice comfortable seat. Ground both sit bones into the mat. Have a nice tall spine and keep rising up to the crown of your head. Begin to deepen your breath as you focus all your attention into your third eye center. As you move through your flow today, see if you can maintain this attention into your third eye center. Slowly begin to open your eyes and make your way to the top of the mat, standing. Once you arrive at the top, bring both feet hip distance apart, roll your shoulders back, have the palms of your hands facing forward and your chin slightly tucked back. On your inhale, raise your hands up towards the sky. Keep reaching them as high as you can, biceps aligned with your ears, drawing your ribs in. Begin to hinge at your hips, lowering your hands down onto your mat. You can rock back and forth to shake off any cobwebs in your forward fold. Bring your chest halfway up into your Ardha Uttanasana. Connect your hands onto the mat and step back into your plank. Begin to lower your chest down into your Chaturanga, raising your chest up towards the sky into your upward facing dog, sending your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. Bring both feet to touch. Draw both femur bones into their sockets and walk one foot in front of the other. Inch them forward as you arrive at the top. You can come onto your fingertips to create more space. Once you arrive at the top, fold yourself over completely, raising your hands up towards the sky and bring them down through your heart center onto your side body. Raise your hands up towards the sky and hinge at your hips, lowering them down completely onto your mat. Raise your chest halfway up, connect your hands onto the mat and step both feet to the back of the mat into your plank position. Start to lower your chest halfway down into your Chaturanga. Chest comes up into your upward facing dog and hips go up and back into your downward facing dog. Rise up onto your toppy toes and start walking your feet in, plugging those femur bones into your sockets, compressing your lower belly in towards your spine. Once you arrive all the way at the top, fold yourselves over completely, raising your hands up towards the sky. Bring them down through your heart center onto your side body. Raise your hands up towards the sky. Fold yourself over, hinging at your hips, connecting your hands onto the mat. Just raise your chest halfway up, connect your hands on the mat, and this time see if you can jump back into your Chaturanga. Chest comes up into your upward facing dog, hips go up and back into your downward facing dog. Connect big toes, both big toes to touch. Look in between your hands. See if you can jump forward on your next inhale towards your hands. Once you arrive at the top, fold yourself over completely, raising your hands up towards the sky on your inhale. Bring them down through your heart center onto your side body. A few more rounds, hands go up, hinge at your hips, connect them onto your mat, raise your chest halfway up, connect them onto the mat, jump back into your Chaturanga, chest comes up into your upward facing dog, hips go up and back into down dog. Connect your big toes to touch, try jumping again. On your inhale, bring your feet towards your hands, fold yourself over completely, hands go up towards the sky, bring them down through your heart center onto your side body. Last rounds of sun salutation. Hands go up towards the sky and bring them down onto your mat, hinging at your hips. Jump into your Chaturanga, chest comes up into your upward facing dog, hips go up and back into your downward facing dog. Connect your big toes to touch, look in between your hands. On your inhale, hop forward, lowering yourself all the way over and raising your hands up towards the sky. Bring them down through your heart center onto your side body. We'll begin our flow seated. You raise your hands up towards the sky and then connect them with your feet, drawing your lower belly in towards your spine and keeping a long straight back. Slowly begin to release your feet. Bring your hands next to your hips, cross your legs and see if you can lift your glutes up and turn that into a Chaturanga. Lift your chest up towards the sky and send your hips up and back into a downward facing dog. Begin to raise your right leg up towards the sky and bring your knee into your nose as close as you can. From here, bring your right knee to your left elbow, ground through your back foot, extend your arm and your leg, drop it down and open up into your fallen triangle. From here, place both hands onto the mat, bring your knee back into your nose and step back into a three-legged downward facing dog. Slowly start to drop that leg behind you, opening up into your wild thing, bringing your right hand onto your neck. Ground through your left foot and begin to connect your right knee and your right elbow together as you slowly step forward. Place both hands in front of you, connecting your right armpit with your right knee, coming into a lizard pose. Bring your left foot to meet your right as you sit down in between your feet, arriving in a malasana. Wrap your hands around your legs and grab your ankles, creating more space and outward rotation in your shoulders. You can choose to remain here, or if you want to come with me, place your hands down in front of you, shift your hips up and then your heels into your glutes to arrive in your crow. Shoot back from your crow into your Chaturanga, lifting your chest up towards the sky and sending your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. Raise your right leg up towards the sky one more time, bring it into your nose as close as you can and send that foot back into a three-legged downward facing dog, back into your nose, leg goes up, back into your nose. Start to draw lines along your hand towards the ground, bringing your knee up and down 3 times. Step it forward and use your right hand to grab your left foot. Send your hips back, find connections between your glutes and your heels, and then maintain that connection as you shift your chest forward and rotating out to the right side. Slowly release your foot and then shift your hips back to arrive in Ardha Hanuman. Shift your hips forward one more time, raising your hands up towards the sky and straightening out into your Anjaneyasana. Connect your hands onto the mat, shorten your stance, straighten your front leg and drag your right leg along the mat to meet your left to arrive in a downward facing dog. Come up high onto your tippy toes and lower both knees onto the mat and sit your glutes onto your heels. Bring your legs in front of you and make your way towards the top of the mat with your legs extended out in front of you to begin the second side. Take a moment here to gather your breath and let your heartbeat slow down, focusing on your breath, deep inhales and deep exhales. Once you feel like you're ready to go, raise your hands up towards the sky and connect them with your feet into your Paschimottanasana with a straight back. Begin to release your feet, bring your hands again next to your hips, cross your legs and see if you can lift your glutes up and convert that into a Chaturanga. Raise your chest up into your upward facing dog and shift your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. This time raise your left leg up towards the sky and bring your left knee into your nose as close as you can. Bring your left knee to your right elbow, extend your left leg, ground through your right, drop that leg, and then bring your right hand onto your neck, opening up into your fallen triangle. Place both hands onto the mat, bringing your knee back into your nose, extending it out into a three-legged downward facing dog, and begin to drop that foot behind you, opening up into your wild thing. Bring your left hand onto your neck, open up into your wild thing, begin to ground through your right leg as you connect your left elbow with your left knee and step forward. Connect your left armpit to your left knee as you arrive in your lizard pose, and bring your back leg to meet your front to arrive in your malasana. In your malasana, wrap your arms around your legs and grab your ankles just like we did on the other side. You can either choose to stay here or you can go into the crow for the second time in this flow. Place your hands down in front of you. Come up high onto your tippy toes and start to shift your weight forward, coming into your crow, holding for a few breaths here, and then shooting back into a chaturanga, raising your chest up into your upward facing dog and sending your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. Raise your left leg up towards the sky one more time, bring it back into your nose and send it back into your three-legged downward facing dog, back into your nose, back up and back into your nose. Start to draw lines along your left hand with your knee and then step it forward next to your hand. Drop your back foot down to the mat and use your left hand to grab your right foot, sending your hips back to make a connection with your glutes, and then maintaining that connection as you shift your hips forward and rotate your chest open towards the left side. Release your foot and then shift your hips back into your Ardha Hanumanasana. Shift your hips forward, raise your hands up towards the sky, and then straighten out that back leg to come into your Anjaneyasana. Connect your hands onto the ground, shorten your stance, straighten out the front leg, and drag your left foot along your mat to meet your right foot. Arrive in a downward facing dog. Come up high onto your tippy toes and lower your knees onto the mat and sit down onto your heels. Take a moment here to gather your breath and slow down your heartbeat, deepening your breath and bringing your focus back into your third eye center. Slowly begin to open your eyes and step into a plank as you lower yourself all the way down onto your mat. Bring your hands by your side body, palms facing upward. Connect your feet to touch. Engage through your legs and lift your feet up towards the sky. Keep your feet where they are. Lift your chest up towards the sky. Hold in your Shalabhasana and then lower it all down. Connect your feet to touch. Raise your legs up and then raise your chest up. Lower it all down. One last time. Engage through your legs. Lift your feet up. Engage through, keep your legs where they are and lift your chest up towards the sky. You can lower everything down at the mat. You can rock your hips back and forth to release any tension that you might have built up in your lower back. Start to grab your ankles with your hands and flex your feet. Begin to push your ankles into your hands so much that you find some height in your chest and chest lifts up, coming into your bow pose. Lower it down and don't let go of your ankles. Flex your feet, push your ankles into your hands again to lift your chest up into your bow pose. Slowly start to lower it down to the ground, holding on to your ankles. We do bow pose one more time. Flex your feet, push your ankles into your hands as you raise your chest up towards the sky. Lower everything down to the ground. You can release your feet, rocking your hips back and forth one more time. Slowly begin to feel yourself over and flip yourself onto your back. And it's very important in this next couple of poses to find the correct distance between your hands and your feet. So touch your feet with your fingertips and make sure your knees and toes are pointing in the same direction and your knees are not caving in. Ground through your hands and push through your heels to lift your chest up towards the sky. You can roll your shoulders back to find a little bit more height in your hips. Engage through your hamstrings and slowly start to lower everything down onto the ground. Push through your heels again, engage through your hamstrings, lifting your hips up into your bridge. Lower everything down onto the mat. You can bring your feet onto the knife edges of your mat and let your knees cave in, windshield wiping your legs. We are going to go into the full wheel pose, but if you feel like that's not in your practice today, feel free to do 2 more bridges. Again, find the correct distance between your hands and your feet. Place your hands by your ears. Make sure your elbows are not spilling outside and your knees are not spilling out. We want to push through our heels, lifting our glutes up towards the sky, and then pushing through our hands and legs, rising up into your full wheel. Slowly start to straighten out your legs if this feels comfortable for you. Once you're ready to come down, bring your chin into your chest and lower everything down onto the mat gently. Bring your feet again onto the outside edges of your mat. Let your knees cave in and windshield wipe. We will do this 1 more time. So find the correct distance between your hands and feet. Place your hands next to your ears. Make sure your elbows are not spilling out. Engage through your hamstrings. Push through your heels. Lift your hips up towards the sky. And then push through your hands and legs. Rising up into your full wheel. Extend through your legs if this feels comfortable for you. Bringing more weight into your hands. Once you feel like you're ready to come down, tuck your chin into your chest and slowly lower everything down onto the mat. Again, bring your feet to the outside edges of your mat and let your knees cave in. Once you're ready, begin to find stillness. Bringing both of the soles of your feet together and letting your knees spill out to the side. Coming into your reclining butterfly pose. Just focus on your breath here. Feel all the sensations you feel on the inner side of your quads, of your inner thighs, your adductors. Use your hands to bring your knees together and then push through your heels. Lift your hips up, place your hips to the right. Wrap your right leg around your left and let your knees spill out to the left side of the room. You can extend your right arm parallel to your right shoulder as you arrive in your reclining twist. With every exhale, see if you can bring your right shoulder a little bit more closer to the ground, letting gravity do the work. Begin to bring everything back in towards the midline, unhook your legs. You can let your knees cave in, windshield wipe a little more. And then we'll move directly into the other side. So lift your hips up, place them to the left. Wrap your left leg around your right and let your knees spill out to the right side of the room. Extend your left arm parallel to your shoulder and see with every exhale if you can let gravity bring your left shoulder a little bit closer towards the ground. Just focus on your breath here. Ask yourself if you're holding on to anything and begin to let that go. Slowly begin to bring everything back in towards the midline. Place your feet on the outside edges of your mat. And let your knees cave in as you windshield wipe your legs. Once you're ready, bring your knees into your chest, grab the outside edges of your feet and raise your feet up towards the sky, arriving in your happy baby. You can rock back and forth, finding a good connection between your back and the ground. Once you have that connection, begin to find stillness and let your knees and your shoulders sink down towards the mat. Bring your knees back into your chest, give yourself a big hug. And this concludes our practice for today. So you can either remain in Shavasana, but I will end the class here. I hope you had a good practice, yogis. Namaste.